So what you will need to make a glued badge is some cold glue, a pin, a T-bar pin, your scissors, and your dried flowers, which you should separate into bunches of each variety so you can clearly see what you have of everything. These guys have been stuck on, so you need to tidy those up a bit. You need to just trim a bit of the glue off, like so, which will just make them a little bit flatter on the bottom and easier to use. You also need a piece of cardboard. Cut in any shape you want for what you want to do. I'm going to create like a little meadow, so for me just a square piece of cardboard is fine. And then I've got all this green as well here, which I don't think I'm going to use, but there we go. You also need some tissue paper to keep all your mess safe, and also for your glue drips because that's messy. The first thing I would recommend that you do is you just have a little play with your materials about how you would like your design to look. So I am going to go for a meadowy, pockety looking design. So I'm going to use some corn, and I'll probably have this on a shorter stem, but for now I'm just going to gently start putting this in position so I can see how much I'm going to need. A bit of lavender can go in between, bringing in a bit of height with it. Probably a bit more lavender. I want this. These are a bit bendy, really, so I want straighter pieces. And you know, I don't even necessarily all want it on the same height, so I might bring in a bit of lavender a bit lower, to coming down below the cardboard as well. I'm not being too rigid by the lines there. And then I'm thinking I'm just going to have little things layered together. So these, I'm going to have these in a little bunch, and I'm just going to wire these together. I haven't got any green or silver wires, which I think you have, but this was bullion wire, was all I could find in my cupboard. So you don't have to wire these together, and in fact it would look more natural if they're not, but it does make it a little bit easier. So just a little bunch discreetly made, just make it a bit easier just to pop on where you want. Could even cover that wire with a piece of helichrysum, which is quite a nice idea. So just have a gentle little play around with what you want to do, keeping it as well as natural as you want to, really. That's probably enough for me. If I move my camera so you can see. Oh, we can't do that. My little plan that I'm going to go for now, but of course this may change as the design goes on. We're ready to start sticking. I'm just going to gently bring these off. I'm going to get my card, and I'm going to start with the base with the corn. And that's so big and heavy, the corn, there's pointless putting them on top of your other materials because you won't be able to see anything. But if they're covering the base, they give it good coverage, and they're the heaviest materials that we have. Apart from these grasses, you could use these grasses instead of corn if you wanted, but I feel that they're a bit too big actually for this sort of design. I'm going to chop the stems down just a little bit. I am going to keep some of the stem on because it looks quite natural. And then to start, I am going to just get some glue roughly all over the cardboard. So quite a nice big coverage of glue. And that will start setting straight away, so we have to move quick at this stage. So I'm going to bring this so it's overlapping the card. So what I mean by that is that the corn is overlapping the edge of the card so that we can't see the card. The card is only there to give us a base. So I'm going to make sure that I do the same with the other side. And you'll see I'm not being too precious about the corns being the same size. I'm thinking about creating a meadow, so I'm not too bothered about that. And then I'm going to pop one straight in the middle. So we just need to let that hold these down for a bit whilst they set. So that's the beginning of my look. You can see, I can still see the cardboard, obviously I've not finished, but I can't see it down the sides here because the corn's covering it. Okay. So then I'm going to start bringing in some lavender, and I'm going to bring the lavender in twos, just to make it a little bit thicker. So this one is, I've got a short piece and a long piece together, which I think always works well. Not too precious about the heights of them, you know, I'm quite interested in the different sizes, and they are just going to slot in down, wiggling them through to get them on the card. Now you might need something, I mean this will do, to push down with, so you can get them sticking down, because it obviously needs to be touching the glue. And then I'm going to do a bit more on the other side. So start with putting one in, using something that can hold it in position. So remember, you've still got the glue that's there setting from when you first put it on. So by the time we get to this stage, it should probably be getting quite dry really, so it shouldn't take too much longer. If you feel you need a bit more glue, pop some more on. And I'm going to bring in another lavender a little bit lower, which is just going to carry the look down. So then we're ending up with something like this. So the idea being that it will sit on your top, looking lovely. So I'm now going to start bringing in this little bundle that I've done, and this was what I wired up earlier. So I'm going to give this a coverage with a bit of glue, little splodge on the end there, and then just bring that in somewhere on top. So just anywhere really where that glue's going to catch. And then using a little bit more thin wire. So you can use any wire for this if you've got some thin silver wire left over from previous weeks. A little bit of string would work. A little bit of really thin green ribbon will work as well. I think it just makes it a tad easier. So just break these down a bit, get a little bundle together. So it's about like this, you've got a bit of transition there. So one, you know, they're starting thinner, getting bigger, rather than all being big at the top. And using a little bit of wire, securing those together with a single leg mount. So the most discreet you can be with the wire, the better. And I'm going to bring a bit of this in quite low. So there's no real rules really to where you put things with this, because we're just creating something really wild looking and loose. You don't need to be thinking about making it symmetrical, worrying about your placement too much. It just needs to look balanced is all you need to be going for. And then just to cover up the bits here, I'm going to use a bit of this helichrysum, which is going to, if I lift this up and show you, it's not fully dry yet. But when you get close, you can still see the cardboard coming through. So bits of the helichrysum popped here is just going to hide it a bit and make it a little bit neater. So that was big splodge of glue in the bottom, and then putting that on. And then I think I'm going to have another one as well, just for fun. So that's kind of the look of our wild looking buttonhole. It does need to set a bit more with the glue, so whilst that's doing, I'm going to stop the video. So this is all, it's all secured on now, as well as it's going to be for the time being, but the last job we have to do is we have to secure the pin onto the back. So you have to gently turn over your design and rest it in your hand, and your pin, if you keep the actual pin closed to keep it safer. But you need to use your glue, and you want the glue to go across the T-bar at the back. You might need to use two hands. So I put glue across the top and then glue down the bottom. Now you can cut this shorter if you need to. I've just measured mine against my corn, and it looks okay. It's the right sort of length. So then you need to be, obviously that's all got glue all over it now, so you've got to hold it on a position where there's no glue and push that down as high up at the back as you can. And you can see that this here, the bar, it finishes at the bottom of the corn, so I'm not going to cut any of it down. But then we need to hold that in position until it's stuck. And then once it has, you have a corsage badge.